Hello. Hi, everybody. Hello. Good afternoon. Hi. Welcome to the Funds for the Doll information session. My name is Big Raksak Gongseng, TCG's Assistant Director of Grant Making Programs. My pronouns are she and they. I am calling in from Manhattan, aka New York City. So let me pass on the mic to my colleagues to introduce themselves first before we start. So Marie, I'm going to pass the mic on to you.
Hey everyone, this is Marique Jensen. I am the chair of the Fund for the Dolls and on the board of directors for TCG. So excited to have you all here. I'm going to be off camera today just because I'm running around a bit, but I will be here to also help support in answering Big's questions or more of what Big and Amelia are sharing. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you. And then Amelia, please.
Hey, all. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Amelia Cachapero, TCG's Director of Grant Making Programs. I use the pronouns she, her, sha. I'm calling in from the ancestral home and the stolen land of the Lenni Lenape people and many other native people, also known as Manhattan. So Big, back to you.
Thank you, Marie and Amelia. So before we get started, we will take a moment to offer our respects to the many lands on which we gather and to honor the traditional stewards of these lands. If you have any land acknowledgement as part of your personal or organizational practice, we invite you to share them in the comments on Zoom. And while land acknowledgement is a positive first step, it is also important to go beyond that, right? Perhaps by asking yourself, how are you using your privilege to support Indigenous people and communities? Or how are you giving back to the land that you are on? Please note that TCG's thinking around land acknowledgement is in a state of evolution, and we are in conversations with the Indigenous Native community about this. So let me share my screen quickly. So today's call will be about 30 to 45 minutes and will be recorded for later viewing on TCG's website and YouTube as well. We will make space for you to ask questions at the end of the session as well. So please jot down if you have any questions along the way. Right now, you may have noticed already that you cannot turn on your microphone, and we will turn it on later at the end of the session when we have the Q&A portion. So our names and my contact information are on the screen. If you have any questions after this session, you are welcome to shoot us an email as well. But for right now, I'll just pass the floor on to Amelia to give you an overview of TCG in case you are not familiar. Amelia?
Thanks, Big. Marie, Big, and I are working together to administer the Funds for the Dolls program. Sorry, but I'm going to have to leave early to jump to another meeting. But Marie and Big are the ones who know this program inside out from the very, very beginning. And they're definitely going to be around to stay to answer as many questions as you may have and as time allows. So today's call is designed to provide you with an overview of the Funds for the Dolls program and to help you prepare your application, actually. We understand that many of you, if not all of you, are applying to a TCG program for the very first time, and we're going to do our best to demystify and clarify the process. We're working to make applying for this program as streamlined as possible with a quick turnaround. We want to get that money out there. Now, we're using the term BIPOC for solidarity purposes, and it represents a multiplicity of racial, ethnic, and cultural groups. We acknowledge that the term BIPOC is imperfect and not universally embraced by many who identify as people of color or people of the global majority, and that, language is in a constant state of reimagination and redefinition. But for reference, Black, Indigenous, and people of color represent over 80% of the global population. Hence, the term people of the global majority. It's quite possible that during the program period, the language may shift again and the terms we use may shift. As Big, I think, had mentioned at the top, you may not know about TCG's work, and certainly all this info is on our website, but we're going to give you an overview and start by talking about TCG's mission and values, and specifically as it relates to this program. So there on the screen, you see TCG's mission and values, and that gives you a little bit of background. In 2021, TCG celebrated our 60th anniversary as an organization, and we went through a year-long strategic planning process. As a result, we crafted a redefined mission, which is what you're looking at on the screen, to lead for a just and thriving theater ecology, and with a commitment to centering Black, Indigenous, and people of color, BIPOC, in our programs, services, and partnerships. And although, TCG already had a very long history of nurturing, supporting, and uplifting BIPOC theater artists and leaders and theaters of color, now, since its founding back in 1961, TCG's constituency has grown from really a handful of groundbreaking theaters to over 750 member theaters and affiliate organizations and over 3,000 individual members. And that's not only in the US, but also globally. TCG reaches over 1 million students, audience members, and theater professionals each year through our programs and services. And certainly you can read more about the member benefits and services on our website. The website name is down there at the screen. And I think Big has just dropped some information about membership in the chat. There you go. So the core elements of our programs and services are one, and this is not necessarily in order of importance, networking and knowledge building. We hold conferences and events. In fact, next week, we're going to be gathering more than 1,000 theater professionals in Chicago for our national conference from June the 20th to the 22nd. Also, during that period of time is another of our programs, Rise Up, on the connection between activism and artistry. That's going to be on June 22nd. There are also, in addition to the in real life, in-person sessions, there is also a hybrid and online version that you can join in. And I don't know if Big has that link, but we can always get to that later. TCG also conducts quite a wide range of surveys and research on the impact of COVID on our field. And I know there's an uptick again in a lot of communities. Certainly we're seeing it here in New York. We also did a town hall called Crisis and Chrysalis about the compounded crises that are really affecting our field, from climate to an environment to politics to finance to all of the things, right? Another area of TCG's programs and services is grant making, like this program here that hopefully you're interested in applying for. In addition to this program, we also administer the Fox Foundation Resident Actor Fellowships in the Stacks, which is a program to get our TCG publications in the hands of folks out there. Thrive, which is focusing on uplifting theaters of color, and the Willa Kim Costume Design Scholarship. We also have professional development opportunities like our Rising Leaders of Color and other programs for leaders in all areas of the field, because we really feel that leaders are not just positional and the executive leadership, but leaders are all in nooks and crannies and all the different departments and parts of our field. We also have a very robust publishing program. You actually may not know that American Theater Magazine is a TCG publication, and it's published online, and we brought it back recently in print quarterly with special issues and features. We are the largest not-for-profit publisher in the US, and our authors have been honored with 21 Pulitzer Prizes, as well as Tony Awards, Nobel Prize for Literature, countless Obies, Drama Desk Awards, and lots of other national and international prizes. The authors include Michael R. Jackson, Strange Loop, Heidi Schreck, What the Constitution Means to Me, Jeremy O. Harris, Slave Play, the Kilroys, Tony Kushner, Susan Laurie Parks, and lots of folks. Our publishing is definitely unique in that we promise to publish the full body of work of our writers. So anything they write doesn't have to just be a play, it could be a manifesto, as Tony Kushner has done. And we also keep the publication in print in perpetuity, meaning folks will forever, as long as there's a TCG, be able to access plays by these writers. We also do national and global leadership and advocacy, and that includes work with our sister service organizations, and we co-founded the Performing Arts Alliance, which advocates for the arts on a national level. And TCG is the home of the U.S. Center of the International Theater Institute. And together with the Laboratory for Global Performance and Politics, we administer ITI US, the U.S. Center, and our activities includes World Theater Day that we recently celebrated on March 27th. And Luis Alfaro was our main author. And there's a video on our website if you want to catch that. So I hope this gives you a good picture of what TCG does. I'm going to have to jump to get to another meeting. But like I said, Big and Marique really are the creators of this program, know it inside out, and can answer any questions you might have. So passing it back to you, Big. Thank you so much all for joining us.
Thank you, Amelia, for joining us too. Cool. So I'm going to move us on to the program. So Funds for the Doll is created by Marie Jensen and Queen Jean, the two audacious trans women of color who serve on the TCG's board of directors, and developed with me, a trans woman of color, on TCG staff. In this pilot round of $50,000, we are committed to investing in trans women of color in the performing arts and theater arts who are looking to develop their artistry further and have a commitment to their craft. Sisters who use or have used survival sex work or other forms of hustle are encouraged to apply. Again, ladies, this grant is NSA. If you know what I mean, it's no strings attached. So you can use the funds for anything from a performing arts project, essential needs such as shelter, or your gender-affirming care. You do not have to submit a report. We will just have online check-ins once or more as needed with you as a recipient. And yes, girls, we are looking for an LTR, a long-term relationship, right? So if you're selected, we hope to build a lasting relationship with you and involve you in our future programming, as TCG is centering the needs and experiences of BIPOC, TGNC, and that stands for transgender and gender nonconforming, and disability communities. And also a special thanks to Transformations, a trans-led Midwest Ozark-based organization who is our proud strategic partner in this new initiative to support the leadership development and capacity building for trans women of color. Before I move on to eligibility, anything you would like to add, Marie?
No, I just want to say, I know that I see some amazing leaders here in the chat with some names, Ian, Sharifa. I just want to sort of uplift, just immediately I'm like, oh, I love that you all are here. So I just want to name that. I think for us, right, when it comes down to it, we created this because we knew that trans women of color are often in doing such unique, amazing work, and it's unsupported. And when I was asked to join the board of TCG about 3-ish years ago, part of my commitment as the first trans woman of color to join the board was to make sure that we opened up space for our Black trans sisters, and Queen Jean came on, but also to make sure that we at TCG were actually investing in trans women of color communities. And so there's been a lot of conversations that have been happening really behind the scenes with staff and leadership, really kind of breaking down the realities for so many of the girls with survival sex, with coming from places where maybe they didn't have institutional support, where maybe kind of they're already pioneers in the field. I think one of the really exciting things about this work is I cannot think of another group of people more than trans women of color who have been really the most badass pioneers in being dancers, choreographers, you know, hairstylists, performers, actresses, sex sirens, right? All of that is what has kind of led TCG to make this intentional pledge of 50,000. And I also wanted to say that 50,000 is humble, right? We know that it could be a lot more than 50,000. And I'm really excited that TCG's leadership is continuing to invest in the dolls. This is really kind of the starter year in the pilot program. The intention around it with Big and with Amelia and with myself and other leaders is to try to make this as accessible as possible, and to really just uplift the work that already exists. And so with that, you know, I know some of us do have organizational support, like for myself as the only trans Latino woman and executive director in a 3-state region that we cover. You know, I'm kind of in a privileged position. I have support, and my background is as an artist and a performer as well. I think for this, our intention is that this gets to the girls who may not have the theater organizational support. You know, personally, I would love to see some girls who have been engaged in survival sex work, right? Who have really perfected their skills about, you know, knowing how to come from a place of making, you know, I mean, I can't think of a better place where you got to have the performance and it has to be on point, because if it's not on point, you're going to get killed, right? I mean, just breaking it down. If that performance fails, you're dead. And so I think that that kind of important narrative is so essential when we were talking about building this fund, because we know that a lot of the girls, even, you know, I mean, I don't want to say any girls' names, get us in trouble, but a lot of the girls that are famous, a lot of us have been former whores, 100%, right? Or still are whores, right? And so I think that that sex work piece is really important to have in that conversation, because we know that what has perfected us into getting seasoned, into getting that performance right, into perfecting our craft has often come from a place of survival. So I'm so excited that we're doing this. I think I'm seeing in the chat, some of you all get it already. And more than anything, getting this out to our sisters, getting this out to the girls who are doing something really radical and innovative, right? And maybe don't have that institutional support behind them. This could be life-changing for them. So yeah, thanks Big for letting me share that. And you know, if anyone also in the chat has anything that you're thinking or feeling, feel free to put that in there and share. We're a small but mighty group, but I also know that there's some power players here in the room already.
Thank you, Marie, and thank you for that genesis of the program. And yes, definitely spread the word far and wide, please. So I'm going to move us on to eligibility, and then so that we can get to the Q&A session at the end. So yes, who can apply, right? So applicants must, number one, first and foremost, identify as a trans woman of color and are a performing artist or connected to the performing arts or theater community. So note that we define theater and the performing arts in the broadest terms, right? Examples, Marie already gave some examples. They include, but are not limited to, pageantry, aerialist, the ballroom scene, right? Female impersonator, drag artist, comedian, actress, dancer, choreographer, sex siren, femme, queen performance, playwright, set designer, stage manager, vocalist, singer, rapper, slam poet, whatever it is, right? So if you fall in this category and that's part of the eligibility criteria, then you should be eligible. But that's not everything. So you have to be a working full-time, you have to be working full-time as a freelancer or in the hustle, right? And so for the purpose of this program, hustle refers to engaging in different arts jobs or services to support yourself, including but not limited to art selling, performing various gigs to stay afloat, survivor sex work, etc. And the last but not least, you can receive taxable income in the US regardless of state citizenship status, because that's none of our business, right? Anything to add about eligibility, Marie, before we move on to timeline?
No, I think this is really, I think that this is very self-explanatory. I do want to say, we want people to be able to apply that last piece, right? Just who are able to apply, who have some sort of taxable income regardless of citizenship status. So do you want to, big with that, do you want to maybe share a little bit more about what that means in case folks are a little confused about that?
Sure. So as long as you can legally accept income in the US, for example, if you have an ITIN number, ITIN, right? You don't have to have an SSN, but if you have an ITIN number, so that's good. Or if you are, say, on a visa, for example, that is eligible to receive income like F1 visa, for example, international students, right? That it's just one example of many, in circumstances that you are able to receive taxable income in the US. If you're not sure, you can either Google your status and see if you are able to receive it, or you can chat with us. You can shoot an email to us, and we can also try to see if that is eligible or not as well. So you're not by yourself. Yeah. So then I'm going to move us on to timeline then. So yes, we will be hosting a one-on-one office hour with TCG staff and or board member. That's called Ask the Dolls. So that would be towards the end of June, June 25th, that's a Tuesday, through June 28th on Friday. So 4 days from 3 to 6 p.m. So these are, what is this one-on-one for? This is a one-on-one session, not a group session. Just want to highlight it. It's a one-on-one. So it's an opportunity for you to ask questions about the program and application directly with a TCG staff and or a board member. You do not, in this one-on-one, you don't need to pitch a project or make a case for your application in this one-on-one because the selection process will be done separately by a separate selection panel, not by the TCG staff or board member in the one-on-one. So you can save that fabulous energy and tell us your stories and show us your art in the application instead. And the selection panel, as I already mentioned it, consists of trans women of color in the performing arts and theater fields, whose names we will not release until after the selection process is complete. And ladies, the application deadline is firm. So Friday, July 5th, that's the weekend of 4th of July, right? Friday, July 5th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So please note the time zone. All applicants will be notified via email by Monday, August 5th. And if you advance into the final round, you will be asked to attend a 30 minutes final interview on Zoom. That will be either on Monday, the 12th of August or Tuesday, the 13th of August. So please mark this on your calendar. Anything from you, Marie, before we actually open up the floor for everybody?
No, I don't. I think everything's here in terms of how we're getting information out. The other place would be that we know that so many of our sisters and community are connecting and reaching each other through social media. So we're really excited to announce that we're also going to be doing some IG lives. And some of those are actually going to feature one of our ambassadors of this campaign, Monica Beverly Hills, Miss Nada Silken Clock, and just coming off of All Stars 8, the first trans woman to come out as a contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race season 5. So she's really excited about supporting this campaign as well. She's using her platform to elevate this as well. So we'll be doing some lives to talk more directly with the dolls and with our sisters, because we know that's another way that we'll reach them. This is a very formal way to learn about the funds, but we're also thinking about how we can reach our sisters beyond kind of the traditional TCG network, which I'm really excited about.
Yes, we would do that. And then the date, yes, it's going to be on IG. We are going to communicate that date on TCG IG as well. So more to come on that. So yes, thank you for staying through the info session with us. For full details, please review the program information and guidelines on our website, which I believe you have already visited. That's why you are here. And email me if you have any questions. So I'm going to drop the website and my email information in the chat one more time. There you go. So now actually we have quite a bit of time to take questions, if any. So you can turn on your camera right now. I mean your microphone right now if you want, if you have any questions.
Hi, my name is Z. Thank you so much for putting this together. I'm a non-binary AFAB performer, and I would be applying for this grant for another person. Is that okay? Like if someone else writes the grant for an interested performer, or do you want them to come to the one-on-one specifically? Like what are you thinking for that?
Thank you. I can take this question, and Marie, you can feel free to chime in. You can definitely help someone else prepare for an application. That's fine, as long as everything that's put in the application is coming from that person, right? And one of the question on the application form, the first question is a video question for that applicant to do by themselves, right? So you can help them, like, set up a camera and, record it that way, but the person in that camera should be the applicant, because we want to get to know that person as well. So yes. Marie, anything to add?
No, you said exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, I think that that's why we're doing the video piece. Well, for a few reasons, right? We'll keep it real here. At Transformations also, we do micro grants and we give those out for our region. And one of the unfortunate things we have learned, y'all, is that people also will stunt and pretend to be the dolls. So one of the ways that we have tried to minimize that as well is to have a portion that is just submitting a video of yourself, right? Who are you? Tell us about yourself. Why are you amazing? Why are you badass? And so we're having that be required for this application. Obviously, we can't tell, right, fully if somebody is trans or not, but we can also, we have enough spidey senses to be like, ma'am, you are definitely not. You are not it either. And we've had, unfortunately, folks like that. And I've learned from some of my other national leaders that actually is something that's pretty common when there's these sort of low threshold funds that are given out, is that people will also kind of try to collect the coins and not necessarily be part of the community. So I think for Z, especially the person that you're helping support, I think any type of information that they're willing to share, also with like any of their social media links, so we can go check them out, right? Not to like judge them, but to like kind of verify, like, yeah, like this person is in fact like who they say they are, right? That's always helpful, just because of the unfortunate nature of people exploiting trans women of color resources.
Thank you. Did we answer your question?
Yeah, and there are all sorts of liars out there, so I completely understand and appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'll check in with her to make sure she's still interested, and if she is, I'll be in touch for sure. But thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for helping your fellow too.
The other thing I want to add really quick is, the language on the actual funding is fairly broad. So what I will say is that somebody could potentially apply for the grant, right? And say like, I need $10,000, right? I mean, I feel like we all know many of our sisters who need at least 10K. that, you know, I can't speak as somebody who will be part of the selection committee, but who will not be voting. I can't speak for like how the how our sisters will be sort of grading that. But what I will say is that I think, you know, kind of if there's a very real need for like the 10K mark, put it in there, right? But I also think like I think the selection panel committee will also be very interested in awarding smaller amounts of like, you know, 3K, 5K, 7K for very specific things. So I think the more specific you can be, our folks can be on what that fund, those funds are for, with, you know, even some documentation attached, it's going to go super far with this initial round of dispersing these funds, because we want to make sure that the funds that are given are going to really make a change into the future, but also into the performance art or theater journey that our sisters are on.
Thank you. Any other questions for now?
I actually wanted to ask a clarifying question about what you just said. You said that it would be best if we have documentation around how the funds are going to be used.
You know, I would say as somebody who's run a separate funding stream, I always find that if you can, like, for instance, this is not right. This is not about this fund, right? But I'll speak for transformations in a fund that we've done in the past. We've had people ask for like rapid response money for housing stuff, right? So if you can be like, hey, here's a specific amount, and you know, I'm also willing to like attach the notification from my landlord or whatever, right? Attached to it that shows, you know, the hospital bill without identifying information. Anything like that, I feel like will probably go farther. I'm just speaking for myself here, right? I'm not the selection panel committee overall. I would say for me, if I were judging that, I would be like, yeah, like that actually helps further verify that this is not just right a money grab, that this is like a real need. And I think that as you all can probably imagine, there's going to be a lot of women who are going to apply for this. There's going to be more need than we can allocate for. And so I think any type of information like that one is willing to share will definitely go far, I think, in terms of helping support the request. Big, do you feel like that's fair, what I just said, or do you want to like clarify anything?
Yeah, sure. So along that same line, but as long as you are comfortable sharing, right? Because we also want to make sure we're not over asking for personal information, right? So as long as you're comfortable sharing, that's great. But if not, then that's okay too, because we're not like, show me your paper. Like that's not how we roll, right? So yes, and in the application form that might not necessarily have a place for you to upload a document, right? So you can either put in a Google Drive, Google folder, and drop a link in the text. That works, or you can choose the actually the video uploading part. You can choose to upload something else rather than video as well if you want. But make sure that you have some narrative in there as well, so that way the panelists can understand what the request is for.
Okay, great. Okay, I guess I have another clarifying question. Because I had seen that there was a section to upload a video, but I wasn't sure if that was for like footage of a performance or if that was for more talking about who I am. Or is there something for both?
It can be both.
Okay.
So I would say whatever feels like it communicates who you are as an artist, as a person, best to the panelists. I would encourage you to go with that.
Okay.
Thank you. And you don't have to go crazy with like the editing or, you know, like the lighting, everything production, you know, because we don't want to create a burden for you to apply for a grant, right?
Right. Okay.
I always love a good
I
chair
won't go
dance
too
in the corner.
crazy. What's that?
I'm sorry. I said I always love a good chair dance in a corner.
Yes. Any other questions for now? Also, while we are waiting for another question, one thing that I would like to add is this is for not just for this grant program, but for like all other TCG programs. We keep seeing people trying to like guess what the panelists want to hear, right? So like don't get caught up in grant speak or grant writing, because we want to. At the end of the day, the panelists want to hear, want to see who you are, right? So let your voice come through, so be yourself. Don't try to guess what's like the correct answer, because there's no correct answer, right? Yes, Marique.
Thanks. I just was going to say, we're not announcing the panelists just because we don't want them to be kind of inundated with folks hitting them up directly. But what I will share is that the panelists we have selected are truly amazing, and I think really encompass I would say kind of the robustness of performance art and theater. So we have folks on the panel who are connected to Hollywood. We have folks on the panel who are connected deeply into ballroom and are icons and legends. We have folks who are on the panel who have been on reality shows, right? And are drag. We have folks who are on the panel who are connected to theater organizations and like, leadership within them. So I think that it's really folks also who are connected to theater orgs, our performance arts orgs that are very grassroots. So I think that we've really done a great job of finding all trans women of color who understand the robustness of what we're doing and sort of the need and the fact that, we want to make sure we're supporting our sisters. They're all super excited. They're all, yeah, I mean, I say just extremely excited about this. And, my hope as the chair of this is to also continue to, work the networks and connections, because I would love to see this fund double by next year. I would love to see this get to at least 100K. And so, this is also a pilot year. We know that I think for the larger theater world, I think a lot of folks are kind of watching this right now and being like, oh, this is interesting. Like, why are they doing this? We're going to have a deeper conversation about this next week at the TCG National Conference. I hope to pluck some donors there. If you know of folks who also would be interested in investing in this fund, there are very few funds, as I know you all are aware, that are elevating trans women of color in the arts. And so, I'm really excited that we're doing this. And I also know that the need is much greater than 50K.
Thank you, Marique. Any other questions for now? Know that this is not going to be the last opportunity for you to ask questions directly to TCG. But for now, anything else? All right. So it seems like we are winding down then. So again, thank you so much for joining our info session. And thank you again to Transformation, who's our proud strategic partner in this initiative. So for more information about funds for the Dolls program, please feel free to contact me at rgongsang@tcg.org. The email is also in the Zoom chat and also on the website as well. So thank you so much, and hope to see you in the application pool, and have a good day. Happy Pride, y'all.